Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining me. Now today I'm making a Valentine's Day card, but we're going to make it using a homemade stencil. I wanted to show you how to make your own stencils using the dies that you have in your stash. It's so simple and so easy and very economical, which is great. I pick up these file folders from the dollar store. These are plastic file folders. They're pretty flimsy and they come 3 in a pack, and I usually have them on hand in my craft room. I use these to separate my stamps, my dies, and then I cut them in half. They cut really easily with your paper trimmer, and here you can see I just use them to as file tabs to separate, like I said, stamps, dies, anything that I have on hand. But I also use these to create my custom stencils. Now I did this in the past, but I've never showed you guys, and I thought it'd be really fun to share with you how I do this. Now this is a standard size card base, and I cut out a green file folder that's just slightly larger than my card base. Now you could go larger or you could go smaller if you'd like. I like to go the same size as my card bases, only because that's what I use them mostly for. Now this is a radiant sun die from MFT, and instead of using the positive space of this, I'm going to be using the negative space. I just ran that through my Big Shot, and it cuts it out beautifully. Now since it is a thinner folder, I don't even have to use a shim plate when I run it through. So I did that one. We're going to use that on my card today, and then we're going to do another one. Now, so I have another piece of plastic file folder, and using a stitched rectangle die kind of as a guide on where to design my little stencil. I'm going to place that on there, and then I'm going to add my heart. I'm going to create 3 hearts on the upper left hand corner, and then I want to create 3 on the lower right hand corner, kind of at a diagonal. And you can see they just pop out really easily. You might want to test it first. All die cut machines are different, so I'm just going to create my little custom stencil here. Now if you don't have the plastic, I know I've did this before with regular cardstock, but the nice thing about this is I can reuse it. So next year for Valentine's Day I could break it out again and I'll still have it. So these are the 2 stencils we're going to use. Now I cut out a panel with white cardstock. This panel is 3.5 inches by 4 3/4. I'm going to place my little heart stencil right on top and secure it directly on my grid mat with some washi tape. And I'm going to use my Distress Oxide inks to color these in. I'm going to be using my worn lipstick and some candied apple. Since it's a Valentine's Day card, reds and pinks go great. And just using my blending tool, I'm going to lightly go over those hearts. And then I'm going to do a little bit of shading with the candied apple, so they're kind of two-toned. And I'm going to remove my washi tape, and there we have our pretty little heart background. Now, just using a baby wipe, it cleans up really easy. Love that. And we can reuse it over and over again. That's the nice thing about these. So next time you're at the dollar store, if you see these, they're great to have in your stash. Okay, now we're going to use the sun. I'm going to place it right in the center, add some washi tape to hold it down, and then I'm going to color in my sun directly over those hearts towards the center too with my fossilized amber Distress Oxide ink. Now since this die was a little bit more intricate, I did have to go in a one-way motion when I was adding the ink, and it worked out just fine. And then for a little bit of shimmer, I thought it'd be fun to use, this is some glitter paste from Nuvo, or not Nuvo. I have Nuvos too, but we're going to use Bow Bunnies today. And it dries clear, but it leaves a lot of glitter iridescent shimmer to your element. I'm just going to go over that using my spatula there. I'm going to carefully remove that washi tape and lift that up. And the great thing about these is is you can use any kind of die you have in your stash. I mean, from stars would be great, even balloons for birthdays would be so fun. You could do clouds, just a lot of different things. I scraped out a little too much of the glitter towards the center of the sun, so I'm just adding a little bit more. But that's it. That is my little custom-made stencil. We're going to let that set aside to dry. But what I'll do with those is I'll just store them in my die pockets, so next time I use them, I'll have them there. Okay, now we need a sentiment. So for my stash, I have this Love Sentiment stamp set from C&CT Stamp, and then I also picked up the coordinating dies. These dies, well, one of the die will cut out the smaller love in the stamp set, and then the other die will cut out a nice little shadow background. So using a piece of vellum, I'm going to use the shadow die and cut that out with vellum. And then to stamp the word love, I'm going to use my Distress Oxide inks. That way everything coordinates. I'm going to use the Worn Lipstick and the Candied Apple. I'm going to just stamp it on a piece of white cardstock. And I've been loving the gradient look, so I'm just going to add a little bit of the Candied Apple right below the love there. So it's almost two-toned. I've just been loving that effect lately. Lovely. Okay, now I want to cut out two of the hearts using that same die that we used to create the stencil. So I'm just using my blending tool. I'm going to add some Worn Lipstick and Candied Apple to the upper part of this white cardstock. I wanted to create maybe two different shades, so I'm going heavier on one side and lighter on the other. And then I'm just going to grab my little heart die and add it to my cardstock, secure it with some washi tape, and run that through my die cut machine. And then that will create a few little dimensional elements on my panel there. I'm going to pop those out with my craft pick. Lovely. Okay, now I'll show you close up what they look like. Real pretty. I love that gradient look. Now we need the second part of the sentiment. Oh, we're going to adhere this to the vellum first. I'm using glossy accents to adhere it to the vellum. My multimedia mat has been sticking with my fine tip applicator bottles. I have to fix that. So glossy accents works just as well. I'm going to place that on the vellum, and we'll just set that aside to dry. Now for the second part of the sentiment, I decided there's so many fun little elements that you could use, but I decided what went really good with the sun, since the sun shines every morning, I thought it'd be fun to put have the sentiment say "Love you more each day." So I'm going to stamp that using my versafine ink on the white cardstock there, and I'm just going to use my scissors and cut that out. I think those two go real good together with the sun. Okay, now it's still a little bit wet, so I'm going to use my heat gun and dry it. Okay, now we're going to flip these over, and we need to add a little bit of dimension. So I'm just using some real thin foam tape, and I'm adding it to the thicker part of the love area, on the O and the V and the E and the L. That sounds like a song. An O and the L and the B. Okay, so we have that, and then with the rest of it, I'm just going to add it behind the rest of the sentiment there. And then just using some foam squares, I'm going to pop up those little hearts. Now, the glitter paste did raise my panel up, since it was just 80-pound cardstock. So just to help with it from warping a little bit, I'm adding a piece of fun foam right behind it, pressing it down really good, and that'll help straighten it out a little bit. I'm going to remove the backing off of the thinner foam tape and place my love right in the center of the sun there. And then I'm going to remove the backing off the second part and place that right below the love, right in the center. I'm going to place the 2 extra hearts, one on the top of the love and then one on the bottom, kind of tucking it underneath the second part of the sentiment. I'm going to remove the backing and place that on my card base. My card base is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch. Top folding card base here. And there we have it. Now for bells and whistles, I have these sequins. These are from Pretty Pink Posh, and it's called Summer Mix. And I like them because it has 2 tones of yellow sequins and a real pretty pink. So I'm going to add 3 to the very top. Kind of bring down that yellow a little bit, and then 2 on the bottom. Okay, now for a little extra shimmer, I'm just going around the edges of my stenciled hearts with my Wink of Stella. And that's it. That's my card today using my custom-made stencils. I hope you like it. Let me know what you think. You can leave me a comment below. If you're new and want to see more of these videos, hit that subscribe button or let me know. I wish you a fantastic day. And here's close-ups at the end. And we will see you again real soon, guys. Bye-bye.